Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook, live on twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit, and youtube.com/at Pride of Detroit. We're just going to get right into it because we are still celebrating. And we also know who the Lions are going to play next. So we're going to talk about both on a quick hitter PODcast. Thanks to everyone who showed up for the post-game show on Sunday night, late night. We stayed up because the Lions, for the first time in 32 years, won a playoff game. And they won it over a team that everyone said you didn't want to see in the playoffs. You won it over a former quarterback of yours. You won it over the Wonderkin, over a team who came in the playoffs hot, winning the last 7 of their last 8. You did it by the skin of your teeth and some great decision making. And we're going to talk about it more because this game means a lot to fans. It means a lot to us. And it means a lot to me, Chris Perfett, the adequate host, at Chris Perfett on Twitter. Enough about me, though. I've had my words from last night. Jeremy Reisman, the fearless leader, at Detroit on Lion, who partied a little bit too hard last night over at Ford Field. Still here, still going strong. Mr. Mustache, how we doing?
Yeah, I think I'm suffering from like adrenaline withdrawal right now. Like I'm getting chills, I'm getting fever. But man, it was something special to behold on Sunday night, and yeah, I couldn't be happier that I destroyed my entire immune system over a joyous occasion, a memory I'm never gonna forget, a memory none of us are gonna forget, and yeah, it just felt like I know we've said this a bunch of times. We said it after beating the Packers last year. I know we said it after winning the division, but this does feel like the final burial of same old Lions. Like this is a turning of the page moment. There's no more doubting the legitimacy of this Lions team. And sure, people are going, like, there will be people that come out there and say that. And if they lose next week against the Bucs, maybe some people step back and wonder. But to me, that the Lions are here. They're here to stay. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. It was beautiful.
Yeah, we talked about last night. There's no more ghosts. There's no more demons. Like, you want to bring up the Super Bowl, that's fine, but like a lot of other teams haven't been to the Super Bowl yet. Like, but that 32 years and the 30 years for the division, those felt like the more significant demons to slay. And it's symbolic. The Lions are still dancing, but you're right. Everything that came there, the people they showed on TV weeping, everything. One man who refused to be emotional with me last night, Ryan Matthews, at Ryan_POD. Ryan, I'm still ready to keep going. You see me. The luchador mask hasn't come off.
You've worn that thing for over 12 hours now?
Yeah, we're closing in very quickly on 24 hours. Yes.
Oh yeah, 24 hours. Sorry. Time is escaping me. But yeah, I'm happy that we got another Bob Seger turn the page trademark moment for the Detroit Lions franchise last night. But
Metallica cover for Dan Campbell, Raj Inc.
I don't think that there has been a more satisfying victory Monday in my Detroit Lions rooting lifetime.
Yeah. It was, and it's fun to share in that celebration too. Like there's more and more videos coming out every day of, like Chris said, people crying at home, people crying in the stands. I saw a video today of people just like absolutely bombarding Jared Goff's car after the game and just being like, "You're our QB, you're our QB, you're our QB," and that to me was one of the most stunning parts of Sunday, is just the Lions fandom throwing complete support behind Jared Goff in a way I've never seen with any quarterback, even Matthew Stafford. Did Matthew Stafford ever get chanted Matthew? I don't know if he ever did. And part of, there's definitely part of we're cheering Jared Goff because we're not cheering Matthew Stafford going on. But at the same time, that was Jared Goff's night, and he captured the moment. He created a memory he's never going to forget, and he made a very big statement about his future in the team, about his future in the NFL, about his standing amongst NFL quarterbacks. I mean, you look across the league right now, and how many fell on their face? How many quarterbacks fell on their face in the playoffs? Dak did again. Jalen Hurts just did.
We just watched Jalen Hurts go out on his face.
Yeah.
The NFC Championship game is going to have either one of Jared Goff or Baker Mayfield in it.
two former Rams quarterbacks, two guys. Like,
Two
I think
castaways.
that's a bigger thing to talk about in the NFL. That, hey, you don't need to sell the farm for the tier one anymore. Like, there's plenty of guys out there that have wonderful careers, like Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield, who have been fighting like hell. Jared Goff a little less than Baker Mayfield in that regard, but we'll save Baker for another time. But yeah, you're
But
right. Like, I think the story of Jared Goff, I think being that cast off Jeremy kind of fueled a lot of his story for Lions fans too.
yeah,
It, like, as you said, it's remarkable that there was never that kind of rally around him like there was for Matthew Stafford. But I think it goes back to what we were talking about when we started this year on how many people were coming out to training camp, to practices, to preseason games, just the amount of mania that was poured into this year. And Jared Goff feels like, besides Dan Campbell, the lightning rod, the catalyst for all of that, on how he runs the offense, how he is resilient, and he takes a hit and he just tub thumping Ryan. He gets knocked down and he gets right back up again. Like, just
and
everything.
throws an ill-advised lateral.
all right.
That's a little bit of goof brain. It happens, but he's got jellyfish memory. It's not going to stop him from just getting right back up and doing what he needs. Like, you're right, Jeremy. Like, there's something about Goff, and even in this performance, 277 yards, averaging over 10 yards per reception. Yeah, like, his performance in the first half is what helped the Lions win this game, and then he has the conviction on the final play to throw a pass, and the coaching staff has the confidence in him to throw that pass to seal this game away.
Yeah, and it's been that way all season, right? They did the exact same thing against the Chargers. They just have this victim complex with LA, I guess. But yeah, to me, the fascinating thing about the whole Jared Goff situation is, you mentioned it, the resiliency. Like, that guy was dead and buried after a year and a half here. I said some nasty things on this podcast after that Patriots game, and I was done with him. And that resiliency is what won over Matthew Stafford to Detroit. He stayed here for 12 years through bad football. He played in meaningless week 17s, week 18s because he wanted to play, damn it. It was that important to him. He played through injury. His very first season, he has the shoulder separation against the Browns. That sort of resiliency won Lions fans over. And maybe Jared Goff hasn't had the same physical resiliency because he's got a damn good offensive line that's not necessary. But the mental ability to just be the same guy every day. I know that's a football term and it doesn't seem like it means anything, but it absolutely does, especially in a week like this where it is emotional, where the crowd is chanting your name and you hear it. That has to add pressure to most people, but Jared Goff never flinched in this game. He came out firing. How many times did Matthew Stafford press at the beginning of games when he was in Detroit? Sailed the first 5 balls he had. That didn't happen today with Jared Goff. The moment was never too big for him, and it never seemed to even impact him until he finally realized after the first kneel down that the game was over. He didn't even realize after he completed the pass. After he took the first knee, he's like, oh, we can run out the rest of the clock. He throws his fist up, and the rest is history. So just a magical moment for Jared Goff, and I'm happy for him. I'm proud of him, and he's my quarterback now, man. Like, I've been the longest, hardest Matthew Stafford stan, but this was it for me. I'm full on Jared Goff now.
Ryan, this game, like, I feel like I want to try to get out of the emotion of this game. It's almost impossible though, but because it feels like a storyline that's just set up to be too real for what was set out to be accomplished for this year. Not just with Jared Goff, but like the Lions won this game in almost every part of their team had to come out and show up in some way. The offense rocked and rolled for the first half. They got quiet in the second. Michael Badgley is your only, I believe, the only score you had. 54 yards from Money Badger after a whole adventure this year of Lions kicking. He's the winning points. But then the defense had to be the one to slow down or at least halt the damage that was being done by the Los Angeles Rams, by Matthew Stafford. And again, so much of the story was on Matthew Stafford. And again, we probably missed the Jared Goff story a little bit. Like people undersold the Jared Goff versus Sean McVay story a little bit, but the defense is the one who has to hold up their end of the bargain. They keep the Rams out of the end zone for the entire second half for an offense. I mean, for a defense that even in this game, you're getting gashed up by Puka Nacua, who is unbelievable. In any other year without CJ Stroud, he is hands down the offensive rookie of the year. Like, and they still do get gashed up quite a bit in the second half, but they're settling down. They're playing bend don't break. Dan Campbell takes the gamble on third and 4 with a holding penalty. He wants them 3rd and 14 rather than 4th and 4 because he knows the defense can hold. And he trusted the defense in that moment, and they got it done. Like this is, and then he gets to play 4-minute drill and just sit on the ball. Like this was every phase of the Lions in some aspect won this game.
Yeah, I think that's another part of the game that definitely deserves to be talked about is Dan Campbell completely coaching circles around Sean McVay from start to finish. Like in terms of you want to talk about Dan Campbell sticking to who he is and being the aggressive coach, it's fourth down, going for it on the opponent's doorstep, and Jared Goff delivering a strike to who else other than Sam Laporta with an offensive lineman knee brace on, right? Um, it it was that play. It was, again, back to what you just said, Chris, Dan Campbell calling Sean McVay's bluff, so to speak, right? Like, hey, could stick you in 4th and 4 here. That leaves you with a couple of opportunities. Maybe you'll go for it and you can control a little bit more clock and then kick a field goal, or you could just kick the field goal there. Not such a long field goal at that point, Jeremy, right? Like 54, like right around Money Badger, the distance that he was going to be kicking it from. But the Lions push him back and they get a stop, and they force Sean McVay to absolutely turtle and go into surrender mode and punt and hope that they're going to get the ball back. And then on top of that, Sean McVay not burning a timeout before the 2-minute warning. I mean, maybe that changes the complexity of how the final plays play out. Yeah. I think that at each and every turn, Dan Campbell was out coaching and out cunning the guy, the wonderkin, right? And that's something that we heard all week long. Well, the Rams have Super Bowl experience and they've won a Super Bowl, and Sean McVay, and okay, those are past accomplishments. That's not what's happening in week 1 of Super Wildcard weekend in the NFL. And that felt, again, Jeremy, I think that this was something that maybe you had pointed out on Twitter, but yeah, the Lions, they might lose Ben Johnson. They may very well lose Aaron Glenn to coaching opportunities, and we've seen how maybe that could have impacted an NFC champion Eagles team. I don't foresee anything like that ever happening under Dan Campbell's watch, because the guy is just different, built different.
Well, it's interesting, too, because I think you can make comparisons. The Lions changed offensive coordinators mid-season like the Eagles changed defensive coordinators, and it worked out because they have a stable system, because they don't have egos in their locker room. They don't have egos in their coaching staff. They also had less to lose, right? The Eagles made that change when they were, 10-2, 10-3, whatever. The Lions were 0-6, 0-10, whatever it was. But I think it speaks to Dan Campbell as a leader, that he can make a very dangerous, very sensitive move in the middle of the season, and it worked out way for the better. But I want to go back in this game, because to me there was a moment in which everything could have collapsed. Everything, like the narrative was right there for Matthew Stafford, comes into Detroit, and guess what he does? The thing he did a million times in Detroit. 4th quarter comeback. The Lions, with 8 minutes to go, they get that drive. Jared Goff misses a 3rd down pass. Jeez, this is it. This is why Jared Goff isn't the quarterback of the future. It's over. It's over. You punt to the I almost said the Eagles. You punt to the Rams. They start driving. Like that drive, I think, starts inside their 10-yard line. They get to midfield
Jack
very
Fox
quickly.
buried them.
And you're suddenly like, oh my God, this is the exact nightmare. This is how it played out a million times in my worst case scenario. I did my very classic patented jinx of changing the headline title. Matthew Stafford, another fourth quarter comeback victory against Lions. Something, something like that was literally in the headline with about 4 minutes left. And then the reason why it didn't continue in that trajectory is because the Lions have playmakers now on defense. They have Aiden Hutchinson, who pressured at least 3 times on that drive, who drew a holding penalty. The Lions didn't have that 2 years ago. They didn't have it in 2016. They didn't have these star players on defense. And is there a lot to fix on defense? Of course there is. The secondary is kind of a mess, but there are stars elsewhere, right? There's Brian Branch, there's Aleem McNeil, there's pieces, Jack Campbell. Even, I think you can feel good about Ifeatu Melifonwu. They're building pieces there that are starting to make big plays in key moments on defense, which is something we haven't seen in almost a full decade, till that 2014 team, till Sue was around. And so to me that, we give a ton of praise for the offense. We give a ton of praise for Jared Goff, but really the reason why the Lions got out of this midseason funk was the playmaking on defense, and they did it again on Sunday.
And they had some real great leaders too, not just the young guys too, not just, like Jack Campbell's going to be a star for time to come for Detroit, but Alex Anzalone, I thought still the heart
Sure.
and beating heart and soul of this defense, still 2 tackles for loss in this game, still in there on every play. CJ Gardner-Johnson, the return for him does not need to be stated enough. He's not out there making a turnover out there, but he's absolutely playing out of his mind for all of this. And Cam Sutton, who is hot and cold, being able to make that play, that breakup, to be the one to get the Rams off the field. It's very poetic. And you want to talk about, since we're talking about more cred to this entire organization, those are all moves by Brad Holmes in free agency. Those are that man who was screaming his lungs off going down the elevator, more pumped than anyone else. It feels like it really was top to bottom to bring this moment to Detroit, a team effort. And again, we have to emphasize they're not done. There's another game that's going to be played on Sunday, but and we're going to talk about it, but it feels like this moment here deserves this. It is special. It is special. It's just one playoff win. But damn it, as you said, like you can't dredge up the demons of the past anymore. And that means so much. And not only that, I have now heard so many guys. I want to shout out to someone who I've worked with, LeVar Arrington, who's pointed this out. Like this model Dan Campbell's built in Detroit is beyond intriguing. And there's going to be other former players who want to be coaches, and there's going to be other people, and there's going to be players who see what the Lions have built, and they respect. If they don't want to join it, then they want to, at the very least, respect the hell out of it. It's respect, it's worthiness, it's honor, it's all of these things. It's a project and a promise delivered and continuing to be delivered.
Doesn't seem like it's being interpreted that way in some other fan bases. That's for sure.
I don't know what crawled up the. You know what? We'll leave the Vikings out of this. It's fine.
Vikings, Rams fans enjoy the offseason.
Yeah.
I don't,
just win, baby.
The other thing, I think Lions fans, and they need to sit with this moment for as long as possible. Like, I know this is the NFL. The team has to turn the page now. They know their opponent. They got to get back to work. You don't adhere to those rules. You can party until Sunday afternoon at 2:59 p.m. And I think you should, because here's the thing. Usually when the Lions hit some sort of accomplishment and Lions fans go crazy, they're mocked. They're ridiculed. Act like you've been here before. You won a playoff game. Big freaking deal. I'm not hearing that right now. I'm hearing Peter King saying, this was a top 5 game I've ever covered in 40 years. I'm seeing Benjamin Solak saying, that is one of the best crowd environments I've ever seen. Own that. Take a second and be proud of what we accomplished in that game. We forced timeouts that turned out to be critical in that game. We were the ones that, as Dan Miller said, we've waited for this. We've waited for this for years and years. And the majority of Lions fans, at least our following, have never experienced this before in their adult lives. Ever. And that is something that's special. That's something you need to hold on to. I've seen so many heartwarming stuff. Of course, I went through a lot of things that a lot of Lions fans said, their first thought is, I wish I could have shared this with someone that isn't here anymore. And I wish I could make that pain go away, but at the same time, it's also a joy that you got to share important fandom to you with someone else, and hopefully we can provide a little bit of a haven for that too, because we're all together. You've been listening to us week by week, hopefully you enjoy our voices, and hopefully you've been enjoying the ride from start to finish. I know I have. I know I don't know what I would do without you guys in this moment, because it makes it so much more fun when we can go here on Twitch after the game and just party our asses off. We don't get that opportunity very often, so stun all freaking week long. And if Rams fan want to play sour grapes and talk about dirty hits and officiating, let them. You don't need to respond to them. They don't matter to you anymore.
Scoreboard. That's all it is. Yes, there was a call that was missed, and I'm sure it's a big story, but I'm not thinking of that. I'm thinking of NBC constantly cutting to the 89-year-old Lions fan who's had season tickets for 66 years.
It's a great moment.
That he got to see this. He got to see this. It's emotional fluff, but damn it, it means something. This is one of the last great demons, I feel like, in sports to be slain. One of the last great drought demons that was out there. There's probably more. I'll probably get reminded of them at some point. But
a Super Bowl appearance, right? That's the next demon on the list. And listen, that's a tough one.
Other
the Vikings haven't gotten there.
Browns haven't gotten there, right? Like there's been other teams you can at least say that for. This feels on the same level of like the Cubs, right? To at least knock this one off. And yes, it's symbolic. There's another game, but I think we are due some symbolism, some romanticism, and everything that and I am so glad we get to do this. I'm so glad I get to do this with you guys. And I speak again the words I had last night on the post-game show, that people really focus on the failures you have and people don't accept how many failures you've gone through until you finally turn a corner. And I feel like now it can be put the Lions can be put into a full picture. And it's all because we have Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was catching balls on a jugs machine at midnight in Los Angeles after day 2 of the draft came and went. David Montgomery signed over from the Chicago Bears. Big time Monty runs in this game. Big time Monty runs.
He had the biggest play before Amon-Ra one-upped him on the same drive.
Yeah. CJ Gardner-Johnson betting on himself. Everyone else the Lions have drafted. Brad Holmes.
Brad frickin' Holmes, man.
Aaron Glenn. Ben Johnson. Those names, you'll keep going down and down those names, and I guarantee you there's going to be at least one and maybe more that's going to show up in the Lions Ring of Honor before it's all said and done.
And I mean, also, like, if you need any other idea just how big of a moment in this franchise was, look at everybody who came out, man. The Lions brought the whole damn franchise from the past 20 years to the game. And seeing
some guys I wasn't expecting. Kerryon Johnson was in the crowd.
He was in the crowd. He didn't, for whatever reason, he didn't get sideline passes. Shout out Kerryon. They gotta treat you better. But like, how cool was it to see Calvin Johnson, who no less than a year ago, man, hated this franchise, like had real beef with this franchise.
Over $1 million.
He's going nuts on the sideline. He still loves this franchise, and again, it speaks to how many old wounds this regime has covered up, has soothed, has placed aloe over. This is a cleansing of the franchise, and now everyone wants to be a part of it. That's fucking cool.
Final word, Ryan. The atmosphere. And again, the fans too. We have to state this again, Ryan. The fans cost the Los Angeles Rams 2 second-half timeouts.
Massive. Huge. I mean, what happened with the second half? I think there was just part of me that the game felt so to take it back to the first half though, okay? The first 3 drives are 75-yard drive touchdowns. It felt very much in the beginning like, oh, remember how like my brain was almost programmed all last week to just believe that the Rams had an elite offense, and everybody was underselling the Lions, and they came out and punched the Rams in the mouth like 3 times in a row. and the way that it was capped off with, the Laporta touchdown, it felt like that game shouldn't have been as close as it was with how
Yeah.
just effective the offense was. I was like, if the offense is going to play like this all night, good luck, Los Angeles, because I mean, the tip pass that Cam Sutton almost got his hands under on the goal line, the Brian Branch blitz on that play, like he disguised that so well, and
100%.
just getting hands on it, and there was something about this game that like it felt like it was going to be it was just going to end up in the Lions' favor, and that second half, the defense won the football game, guys. Yeah. Like
Red zone matters.
There's that's it, right? Like I think that was the thing that was like funny to me was that I'm watching this Lions defense that's just hemorrhaging points or hemorrhaging yards to Puka Nacua, who, by the way, like the whole meme is like the Shaq meme, right? Like, oh, I wasn't familiar with your game. Wasn't familiar. Like that Puka Nacua is one tough SOB, dude.
Yeah.
Like that guy's legit, and didn't matter because when it came to crunch time, right? And that's something we all loved Matthew Stafford for so many years, was like, oh, Stafford comebacks and the fourth quarter and making plays in big moments. In those moments, the Rams were 0 for 3. They settled for field goals all the time. And I just love, there's something so poetic about this Lions team just not settling.
Yeah.
And taking advantage of shutting down the Rams in the red zone, and Money Badger improbably kicking a 54-yard field goal that everybody and their mother in the stadium thought, oh no, like this is another one of those moments, Jeremy, where you're like, with the 8-minute left moment where Jared Goff sails that pass, when Money Badger is lining up that field goal and Mike Tirico is circling the hell out of the fact that Money Badger can't kick 50-yard field goals. It's like, oh, this is one of those moments. And it felt like each time there were one of those moments, the fourth down, go for it on the goal line, the Money Badger, the Lions getting the ball back and getting that first down, like they did with Jared Goff and Josh Reynolds in the Saints game. You know what I mean? Yep. Just making that one last play when they had to. There were all these moments that felt like they could have been another edition in the SOL book.
We don't ever have to use that word again. We don't ever have to use that again. And I feel great for one person more, like probably, and Jeremy, you can sign off on this. I know we got to get to break, but he came in 6th on offensive grades in Pro Football Focus. And he was crying at the end of the game. And he had already been honored along with all the old timers in earlier when the Lions clinched the division. But Taylor Decker, man, I know this fan base has had some up and downs with him. There's a lot of people have speculated about what to do with his future, but that man's a Lion through and through. Like that man being the heart of that, him and Frank and that entire offensive line. That's where it starts. And where it's where it all started. And I feel like because of Decker, ever since that moment, like I've had a lot more appreciation for offensive linemen, just seeing how hard they work, how hard they fight out there. And Decker was emotional afterwards. You could tell how much this team means to him.
Decker's a pro through and through. He's jumping up the power rankings of favorite players because he had a really good quote after the game, and I'm gonna butcher it here, so apologies to Taylor Decker. But he was asked, like, what is this? What do you think this means for fans? And he's like, well, I can't pretend to know what it's like to be a fan for 30 years, for 40 years, for 50 years, but I've been around here for 8 or whatever, 9, whatever it is. And I like to think that I can at least have share a little bit in that celebration, in that pain that and suffering that I've gone to, even if it is a fraction of what most fans have gone through. And he's right. And in a lot of ways, I have to imagine it's a lot worse for him. He's putting in the work 365 days a year. We're sitting here behind a TV. Like that, to put in all that work and get nothing out of it for year after year after year, and seeing other players say, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to go to the Rams. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to retire. I can't do this anymore. Get me out of Detroit. He stayed. He stayed and said, you know what? I want to see this through. And that is rare in the NFL. Extremely rare in the NFL, especially with a talented player like him. a left tackle in this league just stays loyal to a team. Yes, you can pay him a crazy amount to stay, but that doesn't always work, especially if you got I mean, when's the last time we've legitimately worried about Taylor Decker? It's been a long time. So, yeah, he deserves everything that's coming to him this year.
It's just that high character that was instilled in him at his university that he went to.
How dare you?
Pride of Detroit podcast is brought to you by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, and it's the jerky that fuels your Detroit Lions. And just for you, Ryan, I'm not going to try to toss to you. I'm not going to try to butcher this. People think I am out of the reservation with these things. I'm telling you, I'm selling meat over here. This is the jerky that fuels your Detroit Lions. Righteous Felon Jerky and Meat Sticks are available to Lions players at the training facilities at Allen Park. You know they're celebrating with it after this game. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, and each stick has 8 grams. If it's good enough for the Lions, your playoff game-winning Detroit Lions, it's going to be good enough for you too. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Locally sourced, all-natural Black Angus beef, revolutionary branding, unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering, be it the Soul Survivor. We've talked up that flavor a ton. Man, they're biltong flavors too. You want some garlic? You want some ancho chili? Very good stuff. Go to righteousfelon.com, promo code POD15 at checkout. Pride of Detroit, POD15. Righteousfelon.com. Get yourself a nice box of meat to celebrate this playoff win. When we come back on the Pride of Detroit POD cast, we're on to Tampa. The Lions, through a stroke, will host a second playoff game here in Detroit. And it's going to be a classic NFC Central showdown. So we're going to talk about how that came to be and talk a little bit about Tampa and what we expect next on the Pride of Detroit POD cast.
What's up, live chat? I'm very tired. So I'm going to roll through these alerts very, very quickly. And I don't know if we're going to spend a lot of time because it is midnight on the East Coast. I love that there are 600 of you still here. That's insane. You guys are crazy.
Our YouTube audience keeps growing and growing. Really, shout out to YouTube. I see you guys in chat. I see you guys are learning about meat. And someone says Chris has not mentioned Ashes once so far. That was special. That was a special speech last night. It's not going to be Ashes every night.
No.
Got to save up the energy for Ash Wednesday. I'm a good Catholic.
All right. I'm going to skip over some of the follows, but anyone who's following us or subscribing to us on YouTube or Twitch, very much appreciate you. But
I'm also very sorry that the replay from last night got taken down because of some bum-ass copyright claim.
Yeah. We'll try to get most of it back up, but
yeah.
If you missed it, it was a good old time. What'd you go for? Like 4 hours?
3 hours.
Jesus
3 hours.
Christ.
God bless the West Coast.
You maniac. All right. Maxwell, thank you for the Twitch Prime subscription. First time subscriber. Appreciate you. No decaf, of course. Our good friend Chris Perfett. 38 months subscribed to the channel. Also, oh boy, that was almost a vomit. 38 months subscribed to the channel. Uncle T-Rav, 20 months subscribed here on Twitch. Texas Wolverine, 24 months. That's 2 full frickin' years. Dr. Detroit, 11 months, says, Chris, your post-game podcast was amazing. Listened to it 3 times. Tampax commercials and all. Hey, we can't control what the commercials are.
Look, I've gotten a lot of people who've responded very well to it. I say this with no ego. I think that was my best work last night. So thank you guys. It really means a lot that it's resonating with you.
And that part did not get taken down. That is still on our podcast feed.
Yeah,
the video is not up, but
Miko's going to upload the video version tomorrow morning.
Yep.
So that'll be up on YouTube.
Papa Smurf, thank you for the 8-month subscribe to the channel. Says Listcast, top Lions playoff wins. Funny. I like that. This one was 1. The other one was 2. Done. Because I don't really remember the other one. It was a beatdown, which was probably fun, but I was very young. Arnick, 36 months. If my dumb brain right now is working correctly, that's 3 years. Says 36 months ago, Dan Campbell was just hired and no one knew what to think. Now we are here with a goddamn playoff win. Dan Campbell and Jared Goff are co-kings of Detroit. See you next week. Go Loins!
Go Loins.
Guitar Bid, 14-month subscribe to the channel, says forgot how banged up we were in the last game against the Bucs earlier this season. True. I believe, no Jahmyr Gibbs. I forgot. I know Montgomery got injured in the middle of the game. Obviously no CJ. I don't know. You guys probably remember. You can throw it in the chat if you want, or you don't have to. Mopac, 13-month subscribe to the channel. Ryan always gets the drip. Chris, GG's hanging in there. Love the recap. Jer Bear, the stash is powerful. We should all harness it to propel these fellows to victory. Also, hail. Hail, Mopac. This mustache is not going anywhere until the season's over. I can promise you that. Frank Thinks, 9 months subscribed to the channel. We're all caught up. Thank you again to all the people subscribing over on YouTube as well. Appreciate y'all. We are growing over there in a hurry. And this is also a good reminder that we don't just do live streams over on YouTube. There's a lot of original content from our good friends, Miko and Morgan, doing film breakdowns, all 22 breakdowns, previews, recaps. Really phenomenal stuff that if you aren't watching, you absolutely should. It's professional. The guys know what they're talking about. It's informative. If you got some time this week, you're going to want to watch it to get yourself prepared for the Bucs game. There you go. Jonah, Brian Branch, Josh Pascal, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Dave Montgomery goes down in the second quarter. And CJGJ. Obviously.
Was that? I'm sorry. What was the was that the context? Was that the last Bucs game or what?
Those were players that were out last Bucs game.
Oh,
guys,
okay.
The Lions did not have. I think someone needs to go back there and excuse me, check who the Bucs didn't have. Did they have Vita in that game? I don't remember.
I don't remember. Yeah. I know they had Evans.
I'm pretty sure they had Vita. I'm pretty sure.
I know we're just about to preview it, but like watching today, I forgot how many good front seven players they have.
We talked about it at the start of the year. Like they were on a very good defense. Yeah. Like that was a very good start to the season they had. They were on a
3-1, I think.
3-1 coming into the game. They had lost to the Eagles week 3. They were coming off a bye after thrashing the Saints, and the Lions loss precipitated, I think, 4 straight losses. And then actually, I think they lost like something like 6 of 7, starting with that Lions loss. But they turned it around, cleaned up on the end of the season. But
worst record in the playoffs. That's got to mean something.
Still better than the Eagles. They looked atrocious, man.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, we can take pleasure in Matt Patricia looking like a clown again. But
I was going to say, like, there's some people who are shocked by it, and I know some Eagles fans were saying, like, we've been screaming about this team all year long about how this looks, and I'm like, I feel like Lions fans were right there with you because we're the only other ones who seem to understand, like, handing over your defense to Matt Patricia is terrible.
Still, it's crazy that team was 10-1 and just in the driver's seat of everything. And it started to collapse before they made that move, and their offense looks terrible now too. I don't like.
I think Sirianni could get fired.
He could. Really do. It'd be a little bit crazy considering where we were last year with the guy. But man, that team looked checked out for the last month of the season, which is stunning.
Please be. I will also say, please be okay, Darius Slay. Heart came out for him. It looked like a lower back injury, and just at that age, in that position, like.
Special teams did not win the game. Stop lying. Jack Fox was great. Michael Badgley was great. They were great on special teams. But we just got done.
Jalen Reeves-Maben made a big play. Sure. Not on special teams, on defense.
Yeah. What was his PFF grade was like 98.5.
Yeah, on like 6 snaps or something like that.
Yeah. All right. I'd like to get back into it. Sorry, chat. As you can tell, I'm sick and tired. And so, I'd like to go finish the talk. We're already talking about the Bucs, so we might as well just get it on tape, huh?
Huh?
All right. I didn't get an affirmative or whatever the opposite of affirmative is. Non-affirmative.
From us or from?
Yes.
Negative.
I'm ready. I'm always ready to go. Like, look, man, you're the one playing sick.
Playing.
Playoffs.
All right. Let's do it.
Let's go. back here on the Pride of Detroit POD cast. We're going to put finally now for a little bit because we want to go back to celebrating it later off stream. But it's time to talk about what comes next. Because, and you do not, under any circumstances, gotta hand it to them, in spite of what I have seen and heard. But the Packers whooped the hell out of the Dallas Cowboys. And that means, by a stroke of luck, and we talked about it, I think, last podcast, Jeremy, means that the Detroit Lions will now host a second playoff game in Detroit, which has become unequivocally a home field advantage. Like, I don't think I need to point anywhere else besides the sound. Like, you won't play a better quarterback and a better than Matthew Stafford in the NFC. And everyone on that Rams team was rattled by that sound. And now coming in is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team who thrashed the Eagles at home, but it is an Eagles team that looked, Jeremy, I've never seen a team as broken as the Eagles looked going into that game. So no Matt Patricia revenge game.
Yeah.
What we do get is a classic NFC Central playoff game and a meeting again with the Buccaneers, who the Lions met in week 6?
Yeah,
I believe.
so. Yep.
It was week 6 because the Bucs were 3-1 coming off a bye week. Lions went to Tampa, beat them 20-6. Now, this is a Tampa team that went through some doldrums after they lost the Lions, got a little bit of mojo back, got healthy again. Hard to get a read on this team right now. Lions, however, in most places have opened as a 6.5 point favorite.
Yeah.
So you watch that game tonight, Jeremy. You look at the Buccaneers, and how are we feeling? What are we thinking?
Well, I think you look at. I don't think this team has changed all that much all season. Like, yeah, they went through ups and downs in terms of overall record, but like their strength are their strengths. They can stop the run. They stopped the run last time against Lions. Lions had their worst rushing game of the season against the Bucs, and there were other factors at play.
Context, yes.
Yeah, they were missing
Craig Reynolds getting the most carries.
Yes, exactly. Jahmyr Gibbs out of that game. Dave Montgomery gets injured in the second quarter. I think Jonah Jackson was out in that game as well. At least
I don't believe Jameson Williams was back for that game either.
He scored a big touchdown.
Oh, he was. That's right.
Yep.
Okay. Ignore me.
but like that is a team that is they have a good defensive front seven. They have Vita Vea. They have Kalijah Kancey who's starting to come on. They have Levante David. The secondary is very vulnerable, and the Lions took it to them. They basically did something they really have never done this entire season, and they abandoned the run. They threw the ball 44 times to just 22 rushes, and Goff lit them up. 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, 107.5 passer rating. And so that might be the play again, because the Lions honestly haven't been great at running the ball as of late. They are much healthier, and there is a path to being able to run the ball against this Buccaneers defense, but I think they match up better passing the ball. And so this team is capable of doing both. We know that they're capable of doing both. Jared Goff, we just talked about in the end of last game. Did they put the game in the hands of the running game? Nope. They said, Jared Goff, go up there and get us 8 yards. Go get us 9 yards. Same thing they did in week 18 against the Packers. DJ Chark, go get us a game-winning play. They're capable of doing that to a Buccaneers team that, yes, they have Antoine Winfield, who did get snubbed of a Pro Bowl, very talented player, but I think that's the benefit that factors in most in the Lions' favor. The Lions' defense going against the Bucs' offense is one that I don't have a good grasp on yet, though, because Baker Mayfield is a wild card.
Yeah, one of my favorite Baker stats is that he's pretty much 1-to-1 when it comes to big time throws and turnover worthy plays, according to Pro Football Focus.
Right, wild card.
So it's like, yeah, like for every great throw he makes, there's something lurking around the corner. I think what's again, and we talked about this in the first bite lead up into last game. Getting Jahmyr Gibbs going in the passing game, I think is huge. Yeah. And, that's where he was most effective on Sunday against the Rams. He had a big game, caught everything that was thrown his way. It was like 4 catches for like 40 some odd yards. But yeah, that and the maybe the most interesting guy who just you want to talk about revenge games, right? It was Josh Reynolds. Like the the amount of times that it seemed like Jared Goff was just locked in on Josh Reynolds and was like, "This ball's going to you. This ball's going to you." I mean, the throw early in the game,
Yeah.
like the, I mean, there's 4 Rams defenders that are like all there, and I mean, for every don't get it twisted. I mean, Matthew Stafford made some pretty darn good throws, but like Jared Goff put that ball right in there, and I think going against this Bucs defense, I think that's going to be, like you said, Jeremy. I mean, Goff threw all over him before. Now, contextually speaking, maybe the Lions don't want to run the ball that little. I feel like maybe the more this postseason wears on, the more I feel like I want them to go to David Montgomery. I want more David Montgomery runs. I want them to just push people forward and I guess that's me thinking about the second half, I guess kind of spilling over. But I felt like I wanted more dedicated running and setting up more third and manageables, and that's going to be key against the Bucs. I think long sustained drives are going to be really key against a Bucs team that, you know what? I mean, maybe Baker Mayfield has another 300-yard, 3-touchdown performance left in him, especially against the secondary. Time of possession is going to be pretty important.
Yeah, I think two things when looking at the Lions offense in the second half from the Rams game that you take into this game. Like I'm not going to abandon Jahmyr Gibbs completely. They tried to play him a lot more going to the outside in the second half, and clearly the Rams were ready to just blow that up. And Bucs are pretty stout up front too. I'd be curious to see how that works. I don't want to see the play action boot again though. Oh, like that was that felt like the one page out of Ben Johnson's playbook you could throw out. But yeah, like it feels a little bit, Jeremy, like it's just playing the right, at least for the Lions offense taking on the defense. It feels like taking on the Rams all over again. Maybe not someone as terrifying as that duo of defensive tackles up front, but like
close.
Same. Once again, it's going to be a battle in the trenches.
I mean, if you can come up with two players that are as close to Aaron Donald and that rookie on the Rams, Kalijah Kancey and Vita Vea are a pretty
close.
Good mirror of those two players. So yeah, I think it's going to be. I think we could be in for another really good quarterback match because the Bucs also can't run the ball. 3.4 yards per carry for the season, 28th in DVOA. The Lions are going to shut that down. They are going to make Baker Mayfield beat him, and we can look at the final score of that Buccaneers game and said, "Oh, the Lions handled them," but I'm sure you guys remember what happened early in that game, right? You remember the deflected pass? I think it was maybe a Leem. I don't know. Or Bugs. I think it was Bugs. Deflects a pass that would have been a touchdown pass. Baker Mayfield misses another deep shot that probably would have been a touchdown pass. They have talented receivers, and it's really not just Chris Evans and I'm sorry,
was going to say
Chris Godwin and
feel,
Mike Evans.
It feels
good.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it feels a lot more diverse than Stafford dealing into Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell.
Yeah, I mean they spread the ball out a little bit better. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both went over 1,000 yards. Kate Otten, if you watch the game tonight, what do you have? 8-9 catches in this game, and then I really like Trey Palmer. He had a big game in this wild card round. So there's a lot of weapons there, and I don't know if the Bucs are just going to abandon the run altogether. They kind of did that in this game tonight. Like they were up 2-3 scores, and they were still just throwing the ball, and the Eagles had no answer. And that should be at least a little bit scary. Like this isn't going to be a walk in the park because I do think for all that the Lions defense did in the second half of that game, for all that they did in the red zone against the Rams, they are walking a dangerous line right now. They're walking an extremely dangerous line where they're consistently giving up 350 passing yards, 100+ passer ratings, and still winning. That is not a formula to win football games. It just isn't. And so they're going to need more disruption plays. They got a couple against the Rams and it helped, but they're going to need at some point the luck on those sacks, those luck on the interceptions, those luck on the fumbles. They're going to run out. And I mean, the Rams came very close to doing it, right? They came very close to doing what Dallas kind of did. But Minnesota failed to do both times, which is turn those big plays, turn like all these drives that were getting themselves out of bad field position, getting them into scoring position, and turning those into points. And I guess the credit that the Lions do deserve is it feels like the only points they are giving up defensively are off big plays. And if they could somehow turn that faucet off, and I don't know how they do it. Their corners are bad. They're doing it every single freaking week, but you're getting into favorable downs because you have a really good run game. You're getting an occasional pass breakup from Brian Branch. You're getting an occasional sack or pressure from Aiden Hutchinson, and then you give up a huge play. And that's going to be the key for the Lions the rest of the way. Stop the big plays through the air. And the Bucs are a team that's capable of hitting on big plays, so it's going to be a tough matchup this week.
And at the same time, though, Ryan, I also feel like compared to who you've been playing, like Baker Mayfield's better than the Vikings quarterback, whose name I have completely. Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall, or I don't even remember if we saw Jaron Hall, to be honest. We didn't. Okay, great. He's better than Nick Mullins, but at the same time, like those are good receivers, but it feels like a little bit of a step down on the receiver talent from CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Puka Nacua. On the flip side, too, what Jeremy's talking about, there's definitely a question of what do you do with the safeties? Because it feels like the safeties need to help to, as Jeremy said, to turn the faucet off on these big plays. At the same time, you are reliant on the safeties to help you on the blitzes. And it feels like Baker Mayfield's at least and this Bucs O-line is a team you can probably blitz a little bit easier than Matthew Stafford. We talked about it on the last podcast, Jeremy. Like Matthew Stafford's the kind of guy who's going to recognize a blitz coming for him right away. So, and I think you said, Ryan, that they had to figure out how to rush 4 or 5. I think that's you're open up a little bit more to some interesting decisions here against Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, in the first game that they played, the Lions were only credited with 18 pressures. Be interested to kind of dig a little bit more into seeing how much they blitzed Baker, but there's something about the I feel like the drop down, so to speak, in terms of talent from Puka and Cooper Kupp, who Cooper Kupp for the most part was pretty much shut down. It was really the Puka Nacua show, right?
Yeah.
The perceived drop down though from those guys to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, which I don't think is as steep as one as it may be. It's negligible. Like it just feels like the back end, for whatever reason. If there was an answer, I feel like that they would try to answer this problem because it's the biggest problem, right? It's the elephant that's in the room that everybody's looking at and talking about. But nobody's doing anything about it. And the snap counts for for the safeties on Sunday against the Rams, I thought that was interesting. I mean,
even split again.
Even split, and if he's getting all the looks that we felt like that was where things were trending.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, Kirby just kind of another rough game. In run defense especially, but that's kind of been that's been something that's been his MO since college, right? You have a guy who's a converted wide receiver playing safety. I mean, that guy's your deep safety. Like that's just what he does. I mean, there was a play early on in the game where I'm like, oh, a defensive back shooting up the field into a block.
Yep. Like I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Right. And it was the bubble screen. Yeah. And there's just something about like, again, I think that the way that Tampa's going to try to attack the Lions defense, they're going to try to throw through the air. I mean, it might be a literal abandon because the Rams didn't abandon the run, right? And I think Kyron Williams getting hurt, that definitely sucked for the Rams because they just didn't have an answer outside of him. He had a pretty solid night in terms of his rushing average, but the Bucs just don't have that. Like the Bucs just don't have that up front. They don't have a guy back there who has juice in Rachaad White. So, like Jeremy was saying, if the Lions can shut down the run game to the point where they don't even have to take it as a credible or reliable threat, I feel like there might be a little bit more confidence instilled in me in that the back end can compensate for that, right? Like
Yeah.
they can make adjustments to put themselves in a position to get a tipped interception or force Baker into making a silly mistake. And then if that happens, Jeremy, if the Lions defense forces a turnover, that'll be the thing I think I know this week. The Lions are winning the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you can stop a run game without committing more defenders to the box, you can put. I mean, they did it last week against the Rams because they're in 11 personnel. Like, I believe Brian Branch played all but one snap. I would expect something like that again because you don't have to commit 3 linebackers to this Bucs team. They're not going to run the ball well. You can stop them with 2. You can stop them with your defensive front. The interior of that offensive line is not very good. They highlighted that during the game this week. And so, yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think the Lions are going to be playing with 5-6 DBs for most of this game, and they're going to hope someone makes a play at some point. And I think the safeties are capable of making plays. I think Brian Branch is capable of making plays, but it's on the perimeter that the Lions are just going to have a lot of problems with, and I don't know if they're going to fix them. At this point, there's no real reason to believe they will.
I think the other
welcome
thing,
to the divisional round where Kindle Vildor is your CB2.
Yeah.
the one thing that's in the Lions' favor, and you saw it in the second half, Ryan, like maybe like the big issue for the Lions is just that the deep plays. But when they get pushed, at least Jeremy, into the red zone, because they don't have as much room that they have to worry about, like they do tape down.
Yep.
And I feel like that's been a trend along with the second half adjustments that at least the Lions, like, as long as that continues in this game, as long as you limit the damage in the first half, it's what we've been seeing this entire end of the season. You want the ball first. You want to control the tempo of the game. You want to control the pace of the game. Let your offense dictate the first strike and go from there.
It's interesting because I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty sure on this. The defense was kind of the exact opposite as it currently is earlier in the season. They weren't giving up big plays. And in fact, that was something Eric Glenn was super proud of. They struggled in the red zone now. And I think at some point, like halfway through the season, they're like, no team has ever scored a touchdown outside of the red zone on us. I'm like 70 to 80% sure that was true. And now it's completely flipped. Now their red zone defense is very good, but they gave up 2 touchdowns of 30 plus yards against the Rams last week. They had a 90 whatever yarder against the Cowboys. It feels like the Vikings probably had a couple that I mean, they gave up 11 20 plus yard pass plays against the Vikings in the first, and I think 9 in the second. So, yeah, that faucet's got to get turned off somehow, and I think this is just going to be kind of the game plan every week from here on out. Try to figure out a way to limit those big plays and get a couple on defense. That you're not going to stop the bleeding completely. You're not going to suddenly turn Kindle Vildor or Cameron Sutton into a Pro Bowler. You just hope on a 3rd and 8, on a 3rd and 5, on a 3rd and 4, on a 3rd and 18, for Christ's sake, they do something. They get off the field once or twice, maybe even 3 times. And that should be enough against, I think, again, a Bucs defense that is not very good against the pass and decent against the run.
Like, we have the blueprint.
And the one other thing, too, though, that I think is just, again, players stylistically different. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, like, those guys are not yak players by any means. Like, Puka Nacua is in a class of his, 6.4
nobody could tackle
yards after catch per reception, 6.4, and you're talking about Mike Evans, who 4.2, Chris Godwin 4.6. Like, these are different players, right? So I think the thing that kind of showed through as a little bit of a weakness in the Rams game was tackling, right?
Yeah.
Like, tackling after after the catch and everything. I don't foresee that being so much of an issue with a couple of guys who aren't really known as yak receivers. And
just Trey Palmer. That guy scares me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Lions are definitely winning this football game. So, sim to next week.
Damn. Already calling his shot.
Wow. In the villain phase, huh, Ryan?
No, just in my honest face.
Honest villainy.
The Lions are so much better.
Well, we'll have a first bite this week to break it down. Are we just going to probably invite back our Bucs correspondent from earlier in the season, Jeremy? We got to see.
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
We're still celebrating.
We might get a reef.
Really got to do him like this here, huh?
He's still hurt that we didn't have him for week 18, so.
Okay. Well, we're going to let everyone else get back to celebrating because this is a momentous occasion. As Dan Campbell said, they'll be back here 3 p.m. on Monday, preparing for whoever comes into town. But you as the fans, you got time. You got time. And if you have tickets to this game, you'll show up and cheer your asses off and make that place wildly uncomfortable for anyone to come into. And that's what's going to make this special. This entire playoffs is just going to feel special until whatever bitter end awaits. Win or lose, this has been the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Celebrate this one, Detroit. Jeremy Reisman, Ryan Matthews, I'm Chris Perfett. See you Starside.
Recording stopped.
All right.
I'm dying, everybody.
I know. I want you to get to bed. I need you to get to bed.
Guys, you have to leave Blaine alone. Let him be who he is. I don't understand why you guys are wasting your time. You're not going to change his mind. He's not going to change your mind. Let it go. Like, I don't like this look that our fans are being super combative against a guy that probably is wrong. That's fine. People are allowed to have wrong opinions. Stop fucking bullying him. Blaine's our guest from last week, and everyone
No, I know.
bullying him on Twitter. Like, why? I don't know. This is supposed to be like the most fun time of Lions fandom, and you guys are wasting it arguing about things that don't matter.
On the other hand, like, this is kind of the tempo set when we keep a lot of receipts, and people have been keeping. Even the admin on Twitter has been keeping receipts.
But that's not what this is. This is like
Sure.
arguing, and you're saying like you're trash. You're like, people get predictions wrong, and if you want to tease people for getting predictions wrong, that's fine. That's part of the business. You make predictions; they're wrong all the time. People bury you. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know.
This is why like people chide on me for like putting in the ties every week. Like, it's a prediction. What does it matter? Ahmed Fareed on NBC put in 56-10 Lions. It didn't happen. I'm not going to go out and bully him. I do hope he shows up on the podcast sometime, though.
It's a bad look. Like, now I can't get Blaine back. Like, and maybe you guys think that's a good thing. Sure, whatever. But like, you burned that bridge for me, because why would you come back now?
Valid point. It's 12:30. I'm gonna go to bed.
Right.
It was nice spending time with all of you. Bill Belichick. This is an impression of Bill Belichick in an interview with the Atlanta Falcons. I'm the Atlanta Falcons. So Bill, can you tell us about a time that you persevered and fought through adversity and came back? 1-8-3. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, I'm gonna read through.
I was texting at Mike Rothstein, our old friend, who said it's the shortest of the bunch of the reports they put out from the interview, and like, yeah, Bill's got nothing to add. Everything to add.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick.
That's gonna be fun if that happens. Mike Rothstein covering Bill Belichick. I'm gonna enjoy that.
I think as much as people are wish casting Belichick to the Dallas Cowboys and maybe to the Eagles if they fire Sirianni, Atlanta is where I want to see him go, and I'll go ahead and say it. I think Atlanta is the better job than Dallas.
I don't care.
No, I'm just. Listen,
No,
I'm an NFL guy too. I like all these questions about the league. Bill is on to Cincinnati. That's right.
Frank thinks, thank you for the 9-month subscribe to the channel. That, I think I already said yours, but you get it twice for being so nice. And then King Prime, thank you for subscribing first time using your Twitch Prime. All right, guys, I'm tired as hell.
Let's get out of here.
I tried to take a nap 3 times today and it didn't work, so I'm sweaty. We got a whole bunch more to cover in the next few days. We'll have midweek mailbag probably tomorrow night. And then probably first bite sometime on Thursday. I do still need to figure out the guests there. And then Madden Sim will be at a normal 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, 2 o'clock Saturday at 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Is there someone we want to raid?
I
I never get to raid this time. You know what? We're gonna raid someone called Tom Thinks. It's incredibly unique. It has nothing to do with sports. It is animation that is super cool because it looks like people. There's an animation that like tracks people's mouths, and it.
Oh yeah. I
That's
know.
not
like,
what.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like he's doing. But what he's actually doing is like puppetry with a keyboard.
Oh really?
And
That's
he's
really cool.
He's really funny. He gives off to me Pee-wee vibes. It's kind of that same tone. Anyways, it's something different. Go ahead.
Before we go, I do want to shout out to Bridget Case, who has been rating the hell out of us.
Nice.
Feels like every time she's rating us, and I found out she's also a USC grad. So
there you go.
So
Kindred
shout out
spirits.
to Bridget. She has been very good to us, and I know we've rated her more than a few times this season, very quickly becoming part of the larger extended POD family.
There you go. Shout out, Bridget.
If you don't know Bridget Case, she is a former NFL cheerleader and does a lot of
Reporter.
NFL coverage and reporter as well. Yeah. And she streams, especially live during games. So if you want to check out these playoff games, she'll be live during some of them. But
There you go.
we're going to go raid Tom Thanks. Yep.
All right. Go enjoy that. Try something new on Twitch. Just see what it's like. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you do like it.
And YouTube, thank you as always.
Yes.
You guys have been remarkable growth on YouTube.
Yeah.
Love
it's
seeing you guys.
Super cool. And I know I sometimes ignore you more than Twitch, but it's a habit I'm trying to break. I do appreciate all of you over there because it's that's just as passionate of a fan base as any of this Lions subsection. So you guys are awesome too.
I check in over there. You guys seem to have your own conversations, so I don't want to break it up. But I do. If you do have anything addressed to us, I am reading it. I am trying to read it and hoping that Nightbot and please don't fight with Nightbot. It's a robot. You can't convince it.
There you go. All right. See you guys tomorrow evening. Hopefully I will be in better health, and hopefully you guys will be ready for some midweek mailbag with me and Chris. Me and the other
Ryan.
guy.
Or Eric.
That's the guy's name. Don't tell him I said that I got his name wrong. And I also,
Clip that,
I
clip
don't know
that.
if you could tell, like I also pronounced it Eric with a C, so don't tell him I said that too. All right. See you guys later. Bye. Scales be kind.